So first of all, welcome to Aix-en-Provence. What is it like to be here today?
Well, the place is beautiful. I like the colors of Aix-en-Provence. I like Provence. I have to say that this morning I had a disappointment in the sense that my wallet was taken. So I had to spend quite a lot of time at the police to denounce this. But notwithstanding this, I am happy to be here.
Does it make you feel hopeful, all these actors being gathered here to speak about our world?
I think, first, the title is quite courageous. New sources of prosperity, which is what we really need. It's not just growth. People speak about growth. Well, mainly economists, because for people, growth is something abstract. Prosperity is a word that people understand better. And since I've been involved in the changing of society in the sense of reforms, I think, and I'm particularly convinced, that people need to understand what's going on, whether it is some changes in society, whether it is some reform that try to accommodate those changes.
So in our aging world, what's the future ways to reach prosperity, do you think?
Well, first of all, as I just said, we need to redesign some of our best institutions. I think of social security. Social security is a great Western realization. It is a realization that Europe can claim as a reason for pride. But it needs adjustment in order not to burden too much future generations. And there are ways to do this. The important thing is that people do not interpret the redesign of social security merely as rights that are taken away, cuts. No, it's a question of rebalancing the contract between generations. And that is important, and that is something that people can understand. We are not taking something from you, we are trying to rebalance something for your children, which in a way have been neglected from past policies because those policies were most interested in the short run. And so the young and future generations were not really represented. This is the important thing. Another important thing is to accommodate, to manage globalization, because it's something that we need to do. It will not disappear. We live in a globalized world, and we need to manage intelligently this. And the third thing is that we need also to accommodate for an aging society. Aging is there. It is a gain of growth. It is a sign of prosperity, but we need to accommodate because it will change our society.
We're speaking of making adjustments for the new generations. So this is because mainly of the consequences of older generations. Now, how can we reassure and build a certain form of prosperity for the younger generation and reassure them that there is a place for them?
First of all, there is the job market. The job market also needs to change, and it is possible. Again, people normally interpret a labor law as, let's say, just doing something to have a more flexible labor market. But I say that reforms are there to make the labor market more inclusive. So that means that if we, and we are women, work, we don't take a job out of men. We don't take a job from men. No, it's that we both, the young women and men, young and older people, we need to have this concept. It's not immediate, but it can be done. It's not immediate, it requires not just the flexible contracts, it requires active policies, and it requires policies that are, let's say, performed in a very professional way. We think of financial markets as the environment for professionals. We have to think of the job market as requiring even more deeper professionalism than financial markets, because there you have people, not just instruments of payments, not just the bonds.
So you're telling us that we need to rethink the way we live. So what will be the main challenge to this?
Well, I personally work on what is now called financial education, economic financial education. And I believe that this education, and we can also use the word literacy, this education is fundamental as an element of today's citizenship. Once it was taught that to be a good citizen, you need to know how to write, how to read, how to do a bit of calculation. Today, you also need to understand something of the economic environment, not because the economy is dominating our lives, but because it is part of our life, and because it is a dimension that it is now much more important. We need to understand the basic functioning of the economy, and this is an important challenge, because when people, I said before, when people understand that reforms, innovations are done in a way to improve, to look for new ways of prosperity, then they are less resistant to change, and so more projected into the future. I think this is very important. It's also very important for policymakers. Policymakers, in a sense, have in the past exploited people's ignorance. Nowadays, this is no longer possible. For our democracies, it's important that people understand the basic, the fundamental things.
So education is a key to empowerment, basically.
Yes, education at all levels. For example, training. We were talking about the job market. And we need a lot of training for the young people, and also for all the people who have lost their jobs, because unfortunately, this is something that can happen, to lose a job. It's a tragedy in people's life, but in a person's life. But we need to be active to help this person to find another job as soon as possible. So retraining, lifelong learning, these, as of now, are just good slogans. They have to become day by day policies effectively practiced in society.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.